Why Arya refused the throne in Game of Thrones Season 8. In the aftermath of the final season of Game of Thrones, few characters left as deep and lasting an impression as Arya Stark. Over 8 seasons, we watched her grow from a spirited little girl in Winterfell to a deadly assassin who shaped the outcome of the entire war for survival. Arya's journey was one of the most transformative in the entire series, and when the dust finally settled, many fans couldn't help but wonder about the choices she made, particularly her decision to sail west instead of seeking power, recognition, or even the Iron Throne itself. With Westeros searching for a new monarch, and with Arya's unmatched list of accomplishments, it might seem strange that she didn't seize power or at least allow others to suggest her as a potential ruler. After all, she had proven her courage, her intelligence, and her ability to make difficult decisions. She killed the Night King, ending the greatest existential threat the world had ever faced. She survived countless betrayals, mastered the lethal arts of the Faceless Men, and showed leadership and independence in a way few others could match. Yet Arya Stark chose none of that. Instead, she turned her back on politics and power to chart a path entirely her own. So why did Arya refuse the throne, or even any position of influence, in Season 8? To understand her decision, we need to break down her journey, her psychology, the lessons she learned, and the symbolic meaning behind her final choice. Arya's ending was not only the result of her character arc, but also a statement about identity, freedom, and the price of power in the world of Game of Thrones. Arya's origins and rejection of traditional roles. To grasp Arya's motivations, we have to start at the beginning. From her very first appearance in Season 1, Arya Stark was a character defined by defiance. Unlike her sister Sansa, who dreamed of marrying a prince and becoming a queen, Arya rejected the gender roles of Westerosi society. She hated sewing lessons, preferred archery to embroidery, and was far more comfortable holding a sword than wearing a dress. Ned Stark recognized this independent streak and gave her the small sword needle, encouraging her to embrace her own path. That gift was more than a weapon, it was a symbol of self-determination. While many young girls in Westeros were forced into marriages and political alliances, Arya charted a life of her own choosing. This refusal to conform set the tone for everything that followed. From the start, Arya associated power and politics with danger and hypocrisy. She witnessed the cruelty of King's Landing, saw her father executed for playing the Game of Thrones, and watched her family ripped apart by the schemes of those hungry for power. To Arya, ruling and politics were not aspirations, they were poison. Trauma and transformation. Arya's experiences during the War of the Five Kings only reinforced this belief. After Ned's death, she went on a harrowing journey across Westeros, narrowly escaping death time and again. She saw firsthand the horrors inflicted by those in power, the massacre of the Riverlands, the Red Wedding, the cruelty of men like the Tickler and Walder Frey. Each encounter hardened her resolve and deepened her distrust of ruling houses and the systems they upheld. Her time with the Faceless Men in Braavos was particularly transformative. The House of Black and White taught her to become no one, stripping away identity, ego, and attachment. Although Arya ultimately reclaimed her name, the training gave her a perspective few others possessed. She learned that power is fleeting and identity is something you must define for yourself. This journey fundamentally changed her relationship to ambition. Unlike characters like Cersei, Daenerys, or even Sansa, Arya never craved status. Her goals were personal: survival, vengeance, and ultimately freedom. By the time she returned to Westeros, Arya had become something beyond the politics of her homeland. She was a killer, a survivor, and a seeker of knowledge, but she was not a ruler. The cost of power. By Season 8, Arya had seen more than enough to understand the true cost of power. The fall of Daenerys Targaryen only reinforced this lesson. Arya was present when Daenerys unleashed fire upon King's Landing, slaughtering tens of thousands of innocent people in her quest for dominance. In that moment, Arya saw the final proof that power corrupts even the most well-intentioned leaders. This event was critical to her decision. Arya was never seduced by the idea of ruling, but watching Daenerys, a woman who once spoke of breaking chains and building a better world, turn into a tyrant cemented Arya's belief that the Iron Throne was a trap. Power did not just corrupt, it destroyed. When the lords and ladies of Westeros gathered to choose a new king, Arya sat quietly, offering no claims and no objections. She had no interest in that game because she understood what it demanded. To rule was to compromise, to kill, and to sacrifice personal freedom for endless responsibility. That was never Arya's dream. A life defined by freedom. Freedom, in fact, is the key to Arya's ending. From the moment she fled King's Landing after Ned's death, Arya's journey was one of escape, from capture, from death, from the cages society tried to place around her. Her training with the Faceless Men was not just about becoming an assassin, it was about learning how to live without limits. By the end of Season 8, Arya was free of her enemies, free of her past, and free of Westeros itself. Sansa chose to become queen in the north, Bran became king of the Six Kingdoms, and Jon returned to the Night's Watch. Each Stark sibling accepted a role within the political order. Arya, however, chose a different destiny. She looked west, toward the uncharted lands beyond the edge of the map, and set sail. This decision perfectly aligns with her character. Arya has always been an explorer at heart. From her early fascination with adventure stories to her willingness to travel across the world to Braavos, Arya was never meant to stay in one place. The throne would have chained her to a single castle, a single people, and endless duties. Instead, she embraced the unknown. Symbolism of the West. Arya's decision to sail west also carries rich symbolic meaning. In the world of Game of Thrones, the lands beyond Westeros represent mystery and possibility. No one knows what lies beyond the Sunset Sea, only that it is uncharted and full of potential. By choosing this path, Arya rejects not only political power but also the very boundaries of her world. Her journey west is a metaphor for discovery, of the world and of the self. It reflects a refusal to let the past define her future. While her siblings rebuild Westeros, Arya seeks something entirely new, something untainted by the cycles of violence and ambition that consumed her homeland. This is why she never even considered the throne. To Arya, the greatest adventure was not ruling people but finding out what lies beyond the horizon. Her ending speaks to the idea that true fulfillment comes not from power but from exploration and self-knowledge. Contrast with other Starks, Arya's choice also highlights the different paths of the Stark children. Each sibling embodies a different response to the trauma of their upbringing and the chaos of the wars. Sansa embraces politics, using her intelligence and hard-earned wisdom to become queen in the north. Her arc is about mastering the game that once victimized her. Bran becomes the king of Westeros, representing knowledge and mystical detachment from worldly concerns. Jon returns to the north, symbolizing sacrifice and duty, forever tied to the people beyond the wall. Arya, by contrast, chooses personal freedom and exploration, refusing to be bound by duty or destiny. This divergence underscores a key theme of Game of Thrones: there is no single correct path. Each Stark finds meaning in a different way, and Arya's path is the one that rejects the traditional markers of success. Arya's inner peace. Another reason Arya refuses the throne is her relationship with vengeance and violence. For much of the series, Arya was defined by her kill list, a roster of names that drove her every action. But by the end, she has moved beyond vengeance. Her decision to leave Westeros is also a decision to leave behind the life of killing and hatred that once consumed her. The throne would have pulled her back into